Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a demonstration on the Google Classroom for conducting online classes. This is Kafiul Islam. So I'm going to give a 30 minutes presentation on how to use Google Classroom. So the reference material, I'm going to use the manual given from CITS here. Let's get started. So first of all, we have to go to the Google Classroom, classroom.google.com. And we have to make sure that we need to log in with our institutional email ID, that is iub.edu.pt domain. So at this moment, this classroom I have logged in through my personal Gmail ID. It's not going to work at this moment, so I'm going to switch it to my institutional email ID. So this is my Google Classroom home page using my IUB ID, where I can see that I have already created 3 different classes or 3 different courses. But for the sake of understanding, I will again start with the very beginning by creating a new class or new course. So in order to create the first course or a new course, we have to use this button to create class. And then you have to give some information about the class name itself. So let's say this is IEEE 111. Section is 1. The subject is circuit. Let's say this is IEEE so what's the class? 101, CR 101, IEEE 111. This is IEEE 111. The subject is electrical subject, electrical circuit, circuit 1. In the class, or the new course is being created. So let's wait for some time to finish the creation. So this is the home page for that particular class that we have just created, IEEE 111. And this is the class code given here for this particular course, where you can actually copy paste and share this particular class code to your students via email, Facebook or SMS, so that they can add themselves in this particular class. Or there is another way to add the students in your class as well, by inviting them through their email, IUB email. So I'm going to show it that one later. So just look that this is how the your home page for this particular class looks like. So there are 4 tabs: stream, classwork, people, and grades. So let's set up this class with some additional settings option. So the class description, this is your intro to the subject electrical circuits and DC circuits. There are other options for this one as well. We can use this class code as I mentioned. This is, you can copy paste this one. You can generate the Google Meet link, for this class, so that you can conduct an online live class session. So this is the link for that Google Meet. And this will be visible to students as well, so that they can actually join the class whenever the class is scheduled. You can also add the grading policy for In our case, since all the courses will be graded, so we can use the option either the total points and weighted by category. In our most of the courses, we actually use this weighted by category grade, where we assume that the whole assessment is based on 100% marks, and then we, you know, uh, give some weight to class tests, to midterm, final assignments, projects, and so on and so forth. So this is the weighted by category. So then we have to add the category, the grade category, for different assessment process. For example, for assignment, let's assume that we are going to assign 10% of the grade. Then for class test, say the percentage is 20%. Then we keep adding these assessment percentage. So this is 25%. Final exam, let's say 35%. Let's say that you have a project, course project, which how the total 100% mark for your grade is being allocated based on this weight. So we can save it. You have also option to, whether you can turn on this option in order to show the overall grade to students or not. So at this moment, I'm turning it off, that I'm not giving the access to students to see their grades at this moment. So I'm saving the details of the class. So as I mentioned that this is your, for the faculty member, this is your home page for this particular class that you have created. And there are some more information showing in your home page, the class code and the Google Meet link, okay, that you have just generated. This is the subject, this is the description of the course, short description, this is the room number of the class. Like Facebook or any other social media, you can actually share or post your things with your class, with your students here, okay? So you can say, start with a welcome message. Welcome message to the student. So add any particular file or any link, or any file that is already available in your Google Drive. You can upload file from your computer. You can add whatever. So at this moment, I'm just giving a very simple welcome message to the students. You can also select the theme of your class. For example, so this is math and science class, so maybe you can use some kind of uh, theme like this. It depends on what the class is all about. At this moment, let's say this is the class theme. So this is the theme of the class. You can also, instead, you can also select a particular photo for your class. For example, I'm going to upload a photo from my computer that some electronic circuitry. Let's say this is the circuit and electronic circuit as a theme of this particular class. Okay. There are other options I forgot to mention. You can go back. We can see that in the stream of your class, the stream tab, under the stream tab, you have three options. You can either give access to your students for commenting and posting on your homepage of the class, or you can say that the student cannot post, but if they can comment on a particular post that you have given, or you can restrict the students not to post, not to comment anything, but only the teacher, you yourself allowing yourself to comment or post. Okay. So at this moment, I'm allowing the students to, they can both post and comment. Okay. So yeah. So let's close the settings. Now, how to add students in your class? So go to the people section. At this moment, you can see that you are the teacher. You can also add, for example, teaching assistant or any other, you know, co-teacher if you have for the same course. For example, you have a one course, but there are two sections, and both the sections are taken by two different faculty members. So in that case, you can add the second faculty member as a teacher in the teacher section as well. In the student section, similarly, you can add the students by typing their, start typing their name or start typing their IUB institutional email ID, So let's add one student who has an IUB student, IUB institutional email ID. Okay. So the reason I'm adding this particular student is actually because she is my wife. She used to be the MPH student of IUB. Now she's a faculty. So she has both, the student email ID as well as the faculty email ID. At this moment, her student email ID, you can see that it starts with some student ID at iub.edu.bd. So, and the reason is that I would like to also see from the student's perspective how their Google Classroom looks like. Okay. So since my wife, she has given me the access to her Google Classroom or to her email, so that I can actually accept that invitation, as a student, I can also see what the student, they can see on their Google Classroom homepage. So that's the main motivation. So inviting the student here. Um, Also, one thing to note that if you want to invite any student without IUB email ID, for example, any personal Gmail ID, let's say I'm going to invite myself, okay, with a personal Gmail ID. You'll find that I will not be able to invite this kind of a student with a personal email ID because they will say that you can't invite student from this domain because you have the domain has to be the IUB domain itself. Okay, iub.edu.bd. Okay, so basically I cannot invite similar students. All the students in your Google Classroom should have this institutional IUB institutional email ID. Okay, so once I have sent this invitation or added a student through his or her email, the student should be able to get an email invitation like, okay. So for example, this kind of email invitation, okay. So now this email saying to the student that, hey, some faculty has invited you to that particular class. So now the student will join the class through her institutional email ID, obviously, and that is this one. So by the way, you can see that this is the interface, Google Classroom interface for the student. Okay, so this is the student. Tasnuma Farooq she's the student, and she will have the choice whether to join or decline the invitation from that faculty member to join that particular course or class. Okay, let's say that she accepts the invitation. Okay, so now she is joining the class, and in the student homepage, the student will be able to see that, okay, this is the Google Meet link. Okay, the faculty has, uh, has posted some announcement, the welcome message. So as a student, the student can also, you know, give some comment. Okay. Because the faculty member has allowed the student to both to be able to post and comment on the stream of this particular course. Okay, so for example, the student can also post something on the wall of this course. So let's get back to the faculty members interface. So this is the people at this moment. You see that previously this one was kind of gray color highlighted. Now, since the student has accepted the invitation, so now this is how it looks like. Okay, now you can actually able to email the student. Okay, you can select all the students using this kind of options, for example, and then you can add or remove or mute the student if this one or two students is doing it is disturbing, then you can actually mute them, email them, you can remove all of them or one at a time, okay, by selecting one by one. Great. So we have added successfully one student. The student has also accepted the invitation, and you can see that the student has also commented on your post that say the thank you, sir. Okay. So let's talk about how to create materials on the classwork. So you go to the classwork tab, and then you will be able to create your materials. You upload your lecture materials, course outline, any link, anything you want to share with your student. Okay, so for example, you can create material, and let's say the material is a course outline. Give a short description. uh, you can add the material. Again, the material can be in your Google Drive, can be a link, can be a file on your computer, hard drive, can be a YouTube link, anything you like. Let's say that I'm going to upload some material from my PC, from my hard drive. So let's say this is the course outline. Although this is a course outline for VLSI design, but that's okay. This is just an example to load the outline. Once you upload the outline, you can post that material immediately, or you can schedule at a later time to post that, or to be posted. Okay, or you can save the draft at this moment and not to post. Okay? So at this moment, let's say that I'm going to post it right now. Once I post it, in my classwork, this is how it looks like, the course outline. Okay, later I should be able to edit that or delete that or copy this link, and I can share that link to anyone if anyone wish to, for example, download that material directly. Okay, so let's go to the student interface once again. If I refresh the student interface for this classroom, this is the student interface, by the way, you'll find that in the classwork, the student will also be able to see that one, the course outline. Next, going back to the again faculty member home page. So this is the stream classwork we have created. So we can create another topic. For example, you can create a topic. Say the topic is week one introduction. So add this topic, and then we can create some material for week one. So topic is week one introduction. This is a intro slides, intro lecture, intro to IEEE 111. Let's say we add the file from the drive now. Okay. Let's say that we have already some file in the drive. Let's see that if we have anything similar. never mind. I think we can better upload that. Let's say that some introduction slide to VLSI design. Although this is not a VLSI class, but it's okay. At this moment, I don't have any triple one. So upload the slides, and then let's say post it now. So I have created two material so far. One topic name was week one introduction lecture, and then this was under no topic. You know, by default it is a no topic, so it's a course outline itself. Then maybe I can create another topic, say project. Say project, okay. Say project. I add that topic, and with this, let's say I want to, in the project topic, I want the students to divide themselves into, say, few groups. Each group will have, say, 2 or 3 people, and then based on the group, they will be, doing the project. Okay, so the students will be asked to declare their team member's name and form the group. Okay. In that case, I'm not going to add any, material. Instead, I'm going to create a doc file, okay, or for example, a Google Doc file. So we can actually create Google Doc, Google Slide, Google Sheet, Google Drawing, Google Form. Okay. So what I'm doing here is actually I'm saying that this is the group information for project. Okay. And I'm going to share this with the students. So at this moment, the student is a student, and I'm allowing the student, they can edit. Okay, obviously I have two more options. They can only view the file, they can only comment, view and comment, but at this moment I'm allowing the student to edit, so that they can actually edit this file by themselves to create their own group with their team members. Okay, so I'm then sending this invitation to the student. Then the student will be able to write down or edit this file by themselves. Okay, so let's I'm starting this. I've started how they should do it. Group one, say student one, ID one. Basically, they are going to fill up these things by announcing their, declaring their group member, team member information, something like that. So I think that's it. So now I can post it. This is how I can create different topics. Under different topics, I can upload different lecture materials. Whether it can be a lecture materials, can be a Google Doc form, can be a link, website link. It can be any YouTube link or any Google Drive link, whatever. So now let's talk about that. I'm going to schedule an online live class session, and then I invite the students to join that session. Okay, how I can do that? I go to the calendar, Google Calendar. Google Calendar, I have to create an event that is the live online session or live class. I can select my date. It's on 27th. Time, let's say 9:30 to 11. Typical 1.5 hour class. I'm assigning this Google Calendar to actually, so because this Google Calendar may refer to myself, my own personal calendar may refer to different classes that I have. Okay, at this moment, I'm talking about IEEE 111. So this Google Calendar is actually referring to that one. Title is, let's say, the first lecture of IEEE 111. Okay, I can add this because this is going to be an conference, video conference. So I am adding this as a Google Meet. Let's say that I am adding the location, this IUB. Description of the class is the demonstration. Go to the more option. In the more option, I can actually uh, choose whether I want this kind of class to be repeated on a weekly basis or daily basis or whatever basis. At this moment, I am choosing that it doesn't repeat. It's the single session at this moment. Okay. I can also give some notification or alarm warning before the class starts, right? I can also add some files, links, with this particular class. For example, I can add the lecture that I'm going to take during this session. I can add that particular lecture. At this moment, I'm not adding or attaching. I'm just going to save this session. All right. So if you go to the Google, student's email, the student will also see that because I have already invited the student for that Google Doc that I have created. Okay. So that the student can edit. So that's why the invitation actually has come to the student's email, the group invitation email, invitation to edit. So the student can open that doc, obviously with the email ID that has been used for invitation. Then as a student, the student can actually now edit because I have given the access to the student. Okay. Now again, go back to the student classroom homepage. So this is the student classroom homepage. The student now can see that I have the faculty member has created some materials. You see there's some notification already coming into the homepage of the student. Okay. For example, the faculty posted a new material, course outline, a new material intro lecture, a new material group info. Okay. And also the student will be able to see uh, under the classwork, uh, the materials that have been posted so far under the classwork. The student will also be see whether there is any event or not by going to the Google Calendar of that student. So again, the student, she has to or he has to log in with his or her institutional email ID, and then he'll find that on 27th of April there has been a class schedule, right? So this student will click on that schedule. If the student wants to join that particular meeting, then he or she can actually use this particular link to join the class, okay, from the Google Calendar. Click here and the student will be able to join. Okay, the student now can join. Similarly, if the faculty member wants to start that session, okay, that live session. Now this is the Google Calendar again. This is the Google Calendar for the faculty member. Okay, this again similarly same thing. Google Calendar. Go to the Google Calendar, and on particular event, click on that particular event and join with Google Meet. So this is the initiation done by the faculty member first. Okay, and then the faculty member will be able to choose whether he's going to present anything. For example, the way that I'm presenting at this moment by sharing my screen, the faculty member will also be able to do that. For example, the student member can choose presenting the whole screen, and then the faculty member can share that screen, okay, and then it can be presented. Also, if the faculty member wants to record that session, you'll also be able to do that. At this moment, I'm already recording through another Google Meet, therefore I do not have that option, but I can show you that this is how it is done. You see that now, because it's recording, so this option is given as stop recording, but the same option, if you stop recording, if you want to start recording, the same option will give you the to start your recording. Anyway, so actually I'm presenting at this moment at the as well as I'm recording that presentation in the session. Okay, that's why these are the two things coming. There are a few things that I in your Google Meet, obviously, when you are presenting or when you are starting your session, live session, then you'll be able to find out what the students or people that were watching you. So for example, go to the people section and you can see that these are the people at this moment. So this is me, myself, and this is I have created another Google Meet. That's why the same myself is presenting here. And in this section, you will find that there will be other students whom you can actually, mute if you want. Also, you can use Google Meet Grid View, enabling Grid View. Then there will be all the students will be in a grid view. Okay. Now, there are a few things in your Google Meet. I believe all of us, because we have already done a couple of meetings with Google Meet, so we know that there are options like you can turn off your own microphone here. You can leave the meeting using this option. You can turn off your camera here. You can use this option for presentation, and in the more option you'll be able to do some other settings. For example, you can start or stop recording. You can turn on the captions and go to the full screen, or other options. So basically I have almost covered until this one. This is the sharing screen. I've already covered this one. Recording session, yeah, as I mentioned. You can also mute the students. As I mentioned, they go to the people section. You can individually mute each student. Once you mute the student, you cannot unmute the student, because the student himself or herself has to do that unmuting. However, you can mute. You can mute yourself, you can unmute yourself, you can meet your students, given that you are the organizer or host of this meeting or class. However, the guest in your session, or the students, they will have to unmute themselves. You cannot unmute themselves if you mute or the students themselves mute. That's something that you need to take care of. And then once you are done, so for example, I'm done with my recording now. If I stop recording this one, obviously this recording will be processed. It will take some time, and it will be available in your Google Drive link, the same email ID that you are accessing this Google Meet. Okay. So once you are done with the recording, your recording is saved. Now, if you want to add that recorded session to the materials, what you have to do, you go to the again your stream tab of your classroom, and You can edit the material over here, any material that you have posted in week 1 or week 2. Click edit, and then you can add the Google Drive link. Okay, you can add this Google Drive link, and then you can insert that video link available in your Google Drive. Okay? Therefore, the video will be available as an attachment to that material, under this material, and the student will be able to, watch it later on, even if they are absent in your live class. So I hope that that will be it. So now I'm going to stop recording. So that's the end of the presentation. During the meeting, we'll be able to take question and answers. Okay. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.